talking about arthritis and joint replacements and stuff like that. So a little bit about me. So I'm the only true Virginian in this group. You might not consider me that. I grew up in Northern Virginia. I know it's considered the North. My background is actually, I ran into someone just the other day, and they said, you always know an engineer because they tell you that they're an engineer right off the bat. So I'm an engineer. I went to school, undergrad at Cornell University. I studied electrical engineering. I stayed in that field. I worked in that field for several years. I got a master's in that too at Johns Hopkins. And then at that point decided I wanted to be a doctor. So I went back to school, went to the University of Virginia for medical school, stayed on there for my residency. So I spent 10 years in Charlottesville, which is a beautiful place. Their basketball team's still pretty good this year. After I completed that, I went to the Cleveland Clinic and did a year there, specializing in hip and knee replacements, doing a fellowship, as they call it there. So that's a little bit about me. My wife's from Lynchburg, we're the true Virginia. So we're going to talk a little about joint replacement, why we do it, what it's about. We're going to talk a little bit about how that evolves, how we get to joint replacement too, and how we can avoid it, which is probably more important. So a little bit more about me though. So I have 3 little kids. This past summer, my daughter, she's 12 now, she kind of ganged up on me with the other 2 and said, we want to build a tree house. I said, well, that's a simple thing to do. You just nail some boards to a tree and you have a tree house. So I started looking into that. You know, I'm paranoid. I see a lot of people who fall down and break things. And I said, well, we'll do this right. We'll look into this. And I think it was around this time that this show came out called The Treehouse Guys. We had actually not seen this show, I think, when we started. But we looked into how to build a tree house. And it's not as simple as you think. It's a little more complicated. So there's me and my daughter. So we became the treehouse guys this past summer. We got to put on a little bit of hold because of the weather for winter. Once she started back to school, she stopped giving me her time. So we're not quite done yet. So I think that's our spring and summer project to finish that this year. All right. So why do we do joint replacements? What's this all about? To keep people active, to keep people moving, to keep people healthy. If you're not moving, you're sitting down all day, you're going to get unhealthy. Heart attack and don't do that. So it's very simple. It's to keep you moving. So what is the problem? Why do people have problems moving? Arthritis. Well, arthritis is a generic term that means joint inflammation. So that really doesn't mean anything. We mean it more as your joint wearing out. And what does that mean? So in your joint, we have joint cartilage, articular cartilage, whatever you want to call it. It's on the end of all of our bones. It is hyaline cartilage is the true name for this. It comes from the Greek meaning glass-like. If you've ever seen the end of a chicken bone or a turkey bone, you know the white stuff I'm talking about. That stuff is very amazing. I don't know if I have it on this slide, but it is, it has very little friction. It is the most frictionless material on the planet. It has no blood vessels in it, though. There's no blood supply to it. It cannot heal or regenerate. Okay, what you got is what you got. So what can happen is this stuff can wear out. Now this is showing someone who's had some kind of traumatic injury to their knee and their cartilage is peeling off. This is not showing good. So it's just peeling off. This is during a knee scope and they're pulling it off there. Once that's gone, it's gone. Okay. Back to the tree house. That's my daughter. First thing when you build a tree house, you got to pick a good spot. My house backs up to a marsh, which is kind of down there, so they're looking for a spot. Nice thing about that spot is that there are some animals and things. It's kind of wooded. You can barely see it, but lurking up in the top corner are 3 deer. Just like wandering around. So that's kind of the spot we picked for it. So when cartilage wears out, or when you have cartilage, it's awesome. You can't feel it. There's no nerves in cartilage, so it's wonderful. Things move smoothly. It's almost frictionless. It's a great feeling joint. But when you wear that out and you get down to the bone underneath, bone has nerves. You know, if you've ever broken a bone, you really know how well bone has nerves because it hurts. Typically, the pain's not as severe as a fracture. It's more like a bad tooth kind of ache, but it can be up there. What can cause arthritis? This big fancy term, osteoarthritis, is the #1 cause of arthritis in this country, in the world, and that just means it wore out. Okay, again, it cannot regenerate, it cannot heal. Eventually, it will just wear out. Under ideal circumstances, we could get this to last about 104 years. I think I saw a study that said that. I don't know anybody who lives like that because we're all going to get it in our 70s and 80s or earlier. There are other things that can lead to arthritis at younger ages. Autoimmune disorders, the common one you all heard of, rheumatoid arthritis. This is a condition condition where your body gets tricked. You get a cold that has a marker on it, an antigen that looks a lot like something on your own cartilage. So you fight off this cold, but then you keep seeing the marker on your own cartilage, and you start attacking your own cartilage. And so now your body's own immune system is attacking yourself. There's other things, lupus and psoriatic arthritis that are similar, but that's the idea, is your own body gets fooled. Trauma, you can injure a joint through injury. Dysplasia, that's more common in hips and knees, but your joint didn't form properly. And so it doesn't have the coverage as nicely as you would like, so it sees increased stresses, so it wears out prematurely. Avascular necrosis, again, this is something more commonly seen in the hip. This is a condition where the blood supply gets choked off to the bone of your hip, okay? That's not actually a problem, but unfortunately your body recognizes that and says, hey, we're going to fix that. And so it sends in cells to eat away the dead bone, and then it sends in cells to lay down new bone, but what unfortunately typically happens in between is the bone collapses. And now you got a square peg in a round hole, the cartilage just gets chewed off. Infection, this is almost like having rheumatoid arthritis. Your body mounts a response to a real infection, and the enzymes and the things that it releases to try to fight the infection end up destroying your cartilage. So osteoarthritis is the most common. We're all going to get it. Women more than men, I'm afraid to say. Why is that? Cartilage is what it is. The cartilage has a similar biomechanical strength in all of us, right? You women have smaller joints, so the stresses are greater on the cartilage for you, and that's why. It's the number one cause of disability in this country. It beats out everything else. We spend billions of dollars on arthritis. So, what can we do to keep our joints lasting as long as possible? Most of this is stuff we can have a factor on. Weight, and I'll mention this again and again, weight is the biggest factor that affects our joints. Try to keep the weight off your knees, hips, and everything. Why do we not get arthritis so much in our shoulders? We don't walk on our arms. Staying active, staying healthy. Things we don't have control over can affect it. Our knee alignment. We'd like to think that we're all normal. 4% of the population has a normally aligned knee. Most of us are bow-legged or will not knee, so we increase the stresses on the inside or outside of our knee. So 96% of us, and you got no control over that. You got to blame your mom for that. Dad. Our finger length can affect us. For some reason, if our ring finger is longer than our index finger, no cheating, you can't tilt this, you have a higher risk of getting arthritis in your knees. We have no idea why that is, but that has been proven time and time again. You want to be like that. Again, you have no control over that. You can't just shorten your finger to fix that problem. Working, we do know that certain activities, positions, and things that we do affect our knees. Working in a bent position is probably one of the worst things. So squatting, football players who get in that crouch and then have to lunge off, that is one of the most stressful things you can do to your knees. All those guys are going to get arthritis in their knees, hands down. Working in a bending position, having to carry weight in that position is bad. Walking, stairs, never been shown to be a problem. So certain jobs do put you at risk. Apparently, though, what I circled there, you probably can see housewives were at greater risk. So, I assume this was an older article when people were getting on their knees and cleaning their kitchen floors or doing something horrible like that. So even not having a job is bad for you, apparently. Weight, again, the risks just go up astronomically. Relative risk, so this is like a multiplicative thing, like you compared to a person who's not overweight. If your weight goes up, it can get up to 6 or 11 times the risk of getting arthritis in your joints by increasing your weight. That is by far the most significant impact. Smoking, so you would think that smoking is harmful for you and it's a dreadful thing and don't take this up, but there have been several studies that have shown that smoking helps to protect your knees against arthritis. There have been so many people who have tried to refute this, and there are some studies that have come back and said that they've proven that it's not an impact. And they've taken out, that most people smoke tend to be a little lighter or whatever. But still, when you look at it, smoking can protect your joints. Don't take it up. So the most important thing about building a treehouse is you don't want to damage the tree. Okay, so just nailing into a tree, that hurts the tree every time you tap into a tree. So you try to do a single point of attachment To do that, this guy Garnier came up with something called a Garnier limb. This thing, I got my little ruler in there showing you the size of this thing. This thing can hold up to 10,000 pounds when it's put into a tree. To get it into a tree, you have to drill a hole in the tree. It's 1 inch in diameter. The inner part, the outer part's 3 inches. So my daughter's preparing the area for the 3-inch ring. And then you start torquing that thing into the tree. It screws in. So here we are. We started with a wrench. Then we went to a 4-foot pry bar on a wrench, and there she is. And that's not in yet. So it's no wonder these can hold up so much weight. But so the tree grows around that collar, and so the tree can protect itself. So just one single point of damage into the tree, but it's supposedly the safest way to protect the tree. So we used 3 trees on end to get it in there. So how do you make a diagnosis for arthritis? Cartoon says, I already diagnosed myself on the internet. I'm only here for a second opinion. So when I went to medical school, they told me you should be able to have your diagnosis by the time you finish taking your history. I found it was a heck of a lot easier just to look at an x-ray, so I went into orthopedics. So, I mean, there are some classic symptoms that people get with arthritis. It's not what most people think. The pain is typically at rest, at night, when you're sitting down. When you go to get up, you're achy and stiff, but once you get warmed up, not so bad, right? So if you just keep moving, you're fine. So you get that stiffness, you can feel grinding in your joints. As your joints get arthritic, they try to protect themselves by getting stiff and losing motion. You get some swelling, that's occasional. On physical exams, you can see that. You can see that they're getting bone spurs and they're losing motion, they're tender. But the best thing is to look at an x-ray. I got this picture on the internet. I love this picture. That x-ray's upside down. That's the shoulder. That's the heart up there. I wouldn't go to her. You're studying so intensely. So I'm going to teach you how to read x-rays. If you go to the doctor, your family doctor, you go to a hospital, they're going to have you lay down for x-rays. You come to an orthopedist, we're going to have you stand up every time. And the reason being is because cartilage does not show up on x-ray. It looks like nothing. It looks like a gap. Bone is what shows up on x-ray. We want to see how much arthritis you really have, so I'm going to load your joint. I'm going to put cartilage against cartilage and see what that gap looks like. This is a nice healthy knee, beautiful bones. You can see the kneecap right here, beautiful spaces on both sides of the knee. I think of the knee as 3 compartments, the medial side, the lateral side, and behind the kneecap side. We do x-rays through each one. I do one behind your kneecap. I do different angles to make sure I see every part of it. We do a side view. With an arthritic knee, boy, this isn't hard, right? This guy has no joint space on the inside. It looks really terrible on the outside. You know, he's got these giant bone spurs. That's the body's reaction to arthritis. He's trying to spread forces out of our arteries. So it's laying down these spurs. Similar thing in the hip. It gets a little more complicated. It's a little hard to see because there's more overlapping anatomy, but your thigh bone comes up, has a very nice round ball, and you can see the socket, and you can see that little gap in between there. They call that the eyebrow or sourcil of the hip. You know, there is bone on the front and back, which is a little harder to see on the x-ray, but usually we can catch enough. And here's someone, again, severe arthritis. You can barely tell that they have a round ball. It looks like somebody's been chewing off the corner back there. They've made bone spurs. There is no gap there anymore. There is no cartilage space. That person is bone on bone. So once we got that, so you can see the 3 supports up there, then we started framing it out. Those are my 3 children. The little one's 4. So we got it framed out, and then we started putting up our studs, whatever you call them. It's good to have scaffolding on them. All right. So what can you do once you start getting arthritis? One of the first questions people always ask me is like, "Let's put cartilage back." You know, you can take cartilage and send it to a lab in New England. I think it's in Boston, Genzyme. And they can clone all the cartilage you want in the world. You can stick it back in the joint and it'll just disintegrate. In very focal lesions, you can put it in there and cover it, and sometimes it will incorporate. It's like a 50% chance. When you have a broad surface area, though, it doesn't work. We have not figured out how to make cartilage grow on bone and glue to bone. Ma'am?
It says cartilage cannot heal or regenerate, but what about stem cells? Will it not grow more cells?
So stem cells are the premature cells that we form from, right? And so you can get them out of your body, usually with your bone marrow and stuff like that. And so, yeah, so people have argued that you could take stem cells and inject them in joints and that they can turn into things. And that's nice, but how do you make stem cells know to turn into hyaline cartilage and articular chondrocytes?
But will it regenerate?
There are no studies showing that stem cells reverse arthritis. That's why it's still considered experimental. We can talk about that. So there's it has a tiny print. So number one, modify your activity. Don't do things that hurt. If it's crouching, squatting, lose weight. That's a hard thing for people. Most of us can't do it. Next line is medications. Tylenol is a nice mild pain medicine. That's usually what they recommend first. It only works so well. After that, you're into anti-inflammatories. You got to be careful of those that can upset your stomach, especially your kidneys. Things like Advil Relief. There are 40 different anti-inflammatories. Why Advil Relief are the only ones over the counter, I have no idea. I would put them all over the counter personally. Glucosamine and chondroitin. This is another interesting one. This is a supplement. It's not FDA controlled. The studies on this are inconclusive at best. They do kind of indicate that maybe they could help preserve what you got. The American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons, who is my overseeing body, their official statement on glucosamine and chondroitin is you're wasting your time and money. I don't think that's a correct statement. I think we don't know yet. It's very safe to take. It will not harm you. It will not give you a side effect. Worst thing you're doing is wasting your money. There are horse pills. So I just don't know. If you want to try them, my patients who take them say they work. It takes a while to notice if they're going to help. I tell people they're going to try and take them for a month. Topical creams. There's now actually an anti-inflammatory that's available as a topical. I wish that was over the counter. I think this is the only one of the few countries where it's prescription. You can buy this over the counter in Germany, France, Italy. Called Voltaren Gel or Penzed. It's got diclofenac in it. I think that works pretty well. It's not that, it's if it works, it's maybe as strong as orals. It's not stronger than that. But man, talk about safe. Very little gets into your system. There's all the other things, capsaicin, Zostrix that you can try. They just try to get more blood flow into the area. After that, we're going to injections. There's two types of things you can inject in a knee and only one in the hip. So number one is cortisone. That's a steroid. That's like putting 10,000 Advil into your joint. It's just trying to work as an anti-inflammatory to calm down the inflammation. It does nothing to fix arthritis. How well it works, how long it lasts, I have no idea until you try. In those joints, you can safely repeat it up every 3 months. Okay. It's funny because what do you worry about? The worry if you do it more frequently is that you're going to hasten arthritis. But if you're getting arthritis, you're bone on bone. Heck cares. The other thing you can inject, but this is only FDA approved in knees, is a lubricant, what's called viscosupplementation or the chicken shot. There's several different brands. Synvis was the first on the market. Supartz, Allium, Orthovis. There's so many of them. Most of these, there are two companies that have it as a one-shot version where they just literally put the 3 or 4 syringes and put it in one syringe so you can inject it all at once. Most of the companies, it's 3 or 5 injections, 1 a week. It is joint fluid. It is hyaluronic acid, which is what normal joint fluid is. When your knee gets inflamed, the fluid in your knee is more like blister fluid. It's very watery, so you're trying to put in this thick grease to give some cushion in. This stuff is very slow to work. It takes about a month or so after last shot to hit its stride. To be considered successful, for most of the time, it's considered, it has last 6 months. Anthem has now only approved it once a year. So they think it needs to last a year.
Does that have any side effects? No.
So the side effects that I've seen from it, it can make your knee a little warm and hot for a couple of days. That's probably the most common thing you see. But this is joint fluid. I mean, so I've not seen too many bad things on that. I've seen the warm hot knees. The worst culprit of that was the first company, Synvis. Their incidence of warm hot knee for a few days is knocking on 10 or 15%. There's some brands where I've never seen that reaction. The worst thing you see is that some people just does nothing. About a third of people get no effect from it. Beyond that, you can talk about scoping a joint. That's, if you're getting mechanical symptoms, something's jamming up your knee, like there's something loose and locking it up, you can go in there and take that out. That makes sense. But scoping for just arthritis to clean out the knee, that's a waste of time. Scoping a hip you have to dislocate the scope properly. You can do more damage trying to pull that thing out of socket and scuff it up more. So you got to be really careful with that one. And then beyond that, we're talking about joint replacement. Yes, sir.
You separated the injections to knee and hip. What was the one for hip?
So in any joint, you can do cortisone, which is a steroid. The lubricant shots are only FDA approved for the knee.
Neil.
Why? I have no idea. I've done them in shoulders, I've done them in ankles, I've had them work, but to do that, I've had to have the company like provide free samples because the insurance wouldn't pay for it.
Okay.
So with joint replacements, you can just about replace anything: shoulders, knees, hips, partial knees. We'll talk all about all these. We don't do cyborg arms yet. So the reason we're doing this, I describe my job when I do this. I'm like a dentist, okay? You know, so if you've worn the enamel off your tooth and you have those exposed nerve endings, man, it hurts, right? What does the dentist do? He files it down the more, puts a cap on it, right? So those nerves are protected. I do the exact same thing. We are removing a little bit of bone in terms of a knee replacement or a partial knee replacement, putting a metal cap on the end and protecting those nerves, okay? So it should really be called a resurfacing operation, if you ask me, not a replacement. People think we're doing more than we are. We're just replacing the worn ends of the bone to protect it. The ligaments, tendons, muscles, all that is still you, okay? You're not going and getting, your whole knee's not being replaced. We're not giving you something crazy. It's just capping the ends of the bone. So here's kind of an illustration of that. So for a knee replacement, this is off a thigh bone. We just shave off a little bit of bone. These cuts are somewhere on the order of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 millimeters of thickness. We're not talking a lot, okay? Just enough to get the metal cap to fit. And the end of the cap is 8 millimeters. I don't know, somebody studied that and figured out that if you make it any thinner, it could break. This is cheap plastic one. That's like real. So the box doesn't come in all of them. That's if you're replacing one of the ligaments in the back of the knee. That's awesome. You want to pass it? This is a real knee replacement. It's just the metal piece and the white plastic piece. The ends are supposed to imitate your bone. All right. This would have been a video showing that. It's not playing. And so, knee arthritis, that's an interesting topic. That should have said partial knee, I think. So, you know, if we catch people early enough, you know, so with a total knee replacement, we're resurfacing all the parts of your knee. Again, I said the knee has 3 compartments: the medial side, the lateral side, and the kneecap side. With the total knee, you're replacing all sides, all 3 of those. All 3 of those being covered. You're getting a button behind your kneecap. If you catch someone early enough, you can do just what's called a partial knee replacement, where you're just covering the side that's affected. They make it for every side: the kneecap side, the medial side, the lateral side. Most often it's just the medial side. I think the medial side ones work amazingly well. Those are some of my happiest customers. The kneecap one, I'll tell you, I'm not a big fan of. I think the success rate on that is kind of crappy. I don't think we have an implant that understands the tracking and how the kneecap works, so it's not as successful doing it that way. We broke them all.
The knee fell apart, Doc.
Oh, no, that's got a broken leg.
You get it?
I got it. I don't have to put it back together, though.
That's right.
So I'm going to pay you for it.
There you go. All right, so here they're showing that's the medial side, that's the lateral side, the kneecap, and then you got crazy people doing, you know, they'll do the medial side and then the kneecap too. I would tell you, if you're getting to that point, just do it total. Initially, when we were doing partial knee replacements, I'm going back to 20, 25, 30 years, the implants didn't hold up too well. They got kind of a bad reputation. They would last about 7 years, something like that. You know, you're using a smaller implant, so we're seeing greater stress. And so these things would fail a little prematurely, so here's a partial knee. Okay, so, you know, you got this little piece here. You know, it's not like that big tibia that's on that thing with the big heel in there. It's just got these little pegs to hold it in place. These are glued to your bone. So they would wear out a little prematurely. That is not the case anymore. The newer ones are holding up quite well. I've been doing these for my 13th year now, and I've had hundreds. I've had 2 fail. One where a person developed rheumatoid arthritis, and they destroyed the other parts of their knee, and so they got arthritis laterally, they got behind their kneecap, so we converted it to a total knee. And then I had another lady. I do have a limit on kind of the size of people, kind of around 250 pounds, because it's just too much stress on the implant. I did one on a lady, and she kind of put on like 50, 60 So we had to convert that to a total knee. But that's on hundreds, 2 that I know of that failed, so that's pretty good. I think the newer partial knee should hold up as long as a total knee. Example of a partial knee would be our former president, George W. I tried to find a picture where I could see the scars, and I could not. When they zoom up, they get really blurry, so I don't know if this was before or after. He's had both partial on the inside of both his knees now. It is literally 1/3 of the operation, so it is a much quicker recovery. A lot of people are doing these now as outpatient procedures, so we bring you in, we do the surgery, and you go home. And the recovery, sir.
Is that a partial knee replacement that you do here and you go home?
Well, we're still at the hospital, but yes, you can do it and then go home.
Okay. I guess, my theory about a knee replacement is if tissue is left inside, that's going to always be painful. Am I right?
You mean if there's arthritis in the parts that were not fixed?
Well, what I'm saying is for most people that have had a knee replacement, they say that after the replacement, if any tissue is left inside, it's just very painful.
Okay. I guess it depends on what we're talking about.
I guess when it's, I've seen this on a YouTube video of several knee operations.
Yeah, it's horrifying.
And I've seen it on the video, and I think as they clean up before they stitch it together.
Right.
If it's not cleaned up, I guess good enough, and it's closed after the replacement, but
right.
then, the patient is just left with excruciating pain.
I hope not. Hopefully you do right. They do well. 95% of people getting knee replacements do great. And I'm not making that number up. That's a statistical number you can look up on the NIH's website.
May I ask you, what's the 5%? What happens to them?
There's risks with everything. The biggest risks with joint replacement, the 2 biggies, are blood clots and infection. Okay.
Blood clots and what's the
Infection.
other? Oh, infection.
Yeah, so, orthopedic surgeons are a paranoid group, especially when it comes to infection. We do all these precautions to try and avoid that. That is a horrible complication. Horrible complication. But to get back to this, so the nice thing about a partial knee is it's much more natural feeling. It's going to feel like your knee again, whereas I would tell you a total knee is not really your knee anymore. It's different, and most people don't feel like it's. Some people get lucky and they get they're like, man, this feels great. This feels like my knee again. But a lot of people with total knees will be like, it's better. It's good. It's way better than it was, but it's not perfect. And with partial knees, you can get pretty close to perfect, which is really nice. And there's less need for therapy. We send therapists out to the patient for a week or 2, and they usually fire them within a week or 2. They just don't need it. Partially, the reason it feels more natural is we avoid one of the biggest issues, which is how to put in the implant. It's much easier to figure out how to put the implant in, measure the gaps, and do that. When you're doing a full-blown knee, there's a lot of variability, a lot of things going on, and that's what we haven't mastered yet. We're good at it, we're not great at it. It is, to be a candidate for a partial knee, you can only have pain in the one zone, right? Otherwise, you're wasting your time. You cannot have a lot of significant deformity, and we need your ligaments to be intact. I can put together just about anything with a total knee or a revision total knee. I laid a team that had a 45-degree bow-legged deformity. We made her straight, we made her balanced and perfect, but that was not with a partial knee. That was with a lot of metal. You can fix anything with a total, but not with a partial. That's my little one. It's always good to recruit help, but always wear your safety gear. There's my daughter taking a chance. It's good to recruit the neighbors to help. Those 2 are not mine. But they came over to help put the boards down on the ground, on the decking part. There they go, working like dogs. I love it. So with a hip, that's a little different. This is not a resurfacing operation. They do have hip resurfacings, but those end up being metal on metal. And metal on metal these days is a bad rap. If you watch TV for any minutes, you know that lawyers are going crazy about that stuff. With a hip replacement, instead, we are removing part of the thigh bone and then taking advantage of the fact that your bones are hollow like a chicken bone. And we do resurface the liner part of your pelvis. So here we are, we removed the entire neck and the ball, just cut them off and throw them in the trash. The nice thing about that is, grandma who breaks her hip, she's going to break through in this zone. Well, that zone's gone, so you can't get a hip fracture there anymore, which is nice. With a resurfacing, you can still get a hip fracture. So we put a metal stem inside the bone, and then there's a modular ball that locks on the top of that, and then in the socket side, we clean that out. We put a cup in that has a liner, and usually it's plastic. This would be a video that showed that, but it's not working. This one's plastic jump too. Sorry about that. So that's the metal liner that would go in there. It would have a plastic liner inside that. This is the metal stem that would go down inside the bone. I typically use a ceramic ball. Yes, that is a real one. That's the color they are. Guys do not like to know that. The women all think that's pretty. In the process of manufacturing the ceramic, it turns pink. They don't color it. So they cannot make a blue one. You can get this as a metal ball. You can get any number of combinations. A lot of things have evolved how we do these. We've learned to have better equipment. We've learned to make smaller incisions. When I started in this game, the incision went from halfway down your leg to halfway up your thigh, and 20 feet long. It was ridiculous. We've gotten way better at this and make smaller incisions. You can only get so small. You've got to be able to fit the implant through the incision. If I'm putting in a chunk of metal, I can't make an incision this big enough to get this through there. The thigh cover, that C-shaped piece, is the biggest piece. That's a good size, the size of my fist. So we need to get that in there. When it comes to these knee replacements, people have done. There's umpteen different ways to get into a knee: cut through the tendon, cut through the side of the tendon, cut through the muscle. In the end, it really doesn't matter as long as it's done properly. The knee approaches work great. Our incision's now just a little bit over your kneecap, so that little lump on your tibia called the tibia tubercle. So about a third the size that they used to be. It would not even be this long anymore. It would stop about there. Go to about there. That partial knee incision, usually about that from the top of your kneecap to just the major stone to the tibia. So small incision. For hip replacement, this has been more recent. There is no way to get to a hip without staring at muscles. From the front, from the back. That's my next slide. Yeah, there's muscles everywhere. You've got to get past the muscles to get into a hip. The standard approach was to go in from the side and then either swing to the front or swing to the back of your hip. And to do that, you had to cut muscles. You would sew them back when you were done, and then they would heal, but it would take months. That's that traditional approach. Going in, you split through the gluteus maximus, go in through there, but you can permanently damage the muscles doing that. That is still the majority of the way that hips are replaced in this country. In this area, what's called the jiffy hip, which I don't like the term, but where the directly anterior hip has kind of swept this area. It's hard to find a doctor that doesn't do this. We go in from the front. The nice thing about that is we do not have to cut any muscles from that. Most of us do use a fancy table called the Hannah or Honda table. It makes you a ballerina. To get into the thigh, we do have to pirouette your leg a little bit lower than this, believe it or not, to get in there. But the nice thing is no cut muscles, no damaged muscles, so a quicker recovery, literally a quicker recovery. I used to have, with the old approach, people on a walker for 2 or 3 months. Now I'm lucky if they're on a walker for 2 or 3 days. Okay? People get up and are doing great. They come in 10 to 14 days without a walk, without a cane. And same for therapy. It's like with the partial knees. We send them out, but people fire them. How we fix the implants to bone? There's 2 different techniques. You can glue them on. It's not really glue, it's cementing. That was kind of the gold standard. That's how most knees are still done in this country. Hips now, we've gone to this porous ingrowth. If you notice with a lot of those implants that I sent around, knees, that was a cemented knee. But so this implant has this weird texture right here. This is, somebody figured out that bone gets very excited by a specific texture, and it grows into that. Okay, so we put this in initially as tight as we can, and then over the next 6 to 8 weeks, it feels like a fracture. It becomes a part of you, you become a part of it. And the same is on the socket side, that kind of texturing. So those, you can see that kind of texturing that's in there. Some of the companies have been able to come up with knees. The knee I put in now, typically, if your bone quality is good enough, is a press fit knee as well. So I've gone away from cementing knees. This is interesting. So the texturing on that, on the bottom part, didn't work that well, and the base plates would fail when they were doing these like 15 years ago. You can put any kind of texture on the thigh bone piece. That's a captured implant. It's going to grow in. But the thigh, because it's mostly a flat plate, there was a lot of shear stresses. So the solution they've come up with, so you get the big heel, but you get these 4 little spikies, and then they are printing on metal on the bottom here that looks like bone. If you look at it, it looks like it's a regular bone, and the bone finds that very setting and goes into. That thing goes in. When after we implanted that into the bone, I could pick the patient off the table by that right there and then. Never mind in a few weeks once that's grown in. I've been doing press fit knees for about 4 years now. They're holding up great. I'll let you know how long they last in 20 years. And the reason we talk about this is because, unfortunately, all of the implants we have a finite lifetime. Typically, most people will get 15 to 20 years out of all of these, partial knees, total knees, hip replacements. But then eventually things are going to wear out. What wears out is not that piece of metal, and it's not that piece of plastic. What wears out is the bond between the bone and the implant. Okay, so when they're cemented, that's just a static interface. The idea behind these press fit ones is that this is a living interface. The bone's grown into it, and the hope is that these will last longer. Again, I'll let you know in 10, 15, 20 years if that's true or not. Right now, they're holding up great. They're looking good, but proof's in the pudding. We talked about that. The weak link was always the base plate. So, and now you can print this trabecular metal. And that's zoomed up. So this is real metal. And that's that metal that's printed on the bottom of that base plate that's going around. Yeah, it's actually printed on there. You've ever heard of 3D printing?
Yeah.
That's 3D printed. Yeah, that's what it looks like. It's very good press with me. And the nice thing about this, with the cement cures in 10 minutes and you can be up walking around immediately. So with the press fits, they were worried that you wouldn't be able to do that, but you can be up walking around immediately as well if you take the stress. Another big advance that we've had, if you remember when Grandma got her joint replaced, they gave her that bloody button, right? And they said, just press that button whenever you have pain, right? And the first 2 days she was in hell, and she would nod off, and then she would wake up 15 minutes later because that medicine had worn off, and she would press the button again, and it was a horrible experience for everybody. So we don't use the button anymore. That's gone away, and that's like the days of torture. Instead, what we do is this idea called a multimodal approach, where we try to hit the pain pathways every single step of the way. Okay? So here are all the little fibers and things where they're going along from where you get the pain all the way to your brain, and we're trying to knock them off everywhere. How do we do that? So the button, that was called a PCA, a patient-controlled analgesia. Those are gone. So now we do anti-inflammatories. When do we start? Before surgery. You're going to get a dose of Celebrex or Movic. Those are 2 anti-inflammatories that do not interfere with our blood thinners, so we don't have to worry about you bleeding like with Advil or Relief, so you're going to get that before surgery. We're going to give you IV Tylenol, not oral Tylenol, intravenous Tylenol. That is as strong as morphine and has no mental side effects. How beautiful is that? Hospitals don't like it. It's $25 a dose, but who cares? We have a medicine called Exparel. It's like a Novocaine that your dentist use, except it's in fat. It's in liposomes. It's in soluble fat. And so it breaks down over time, randomly over time, over about 72 hours and releases the chemical. I inject that all the way around, typically at 8. So that gradually fades out over 72 hours, 3 days. We do blocks now. So instead of, yes, people mostly go to sleep, but it's not like, the old days where they put you to sleep or other heavy anesthesia. Nowadays, they're going to do anesthesiologists, they're going to do shots around and knock off 90% of the pain in your leg. So before you ever go to sleep, then they only got to give you enough anesthesia to make you sleepy. And then you're going to be asleep, but you're going to be sleeping on your own. The machine's not breathing for you, which is much nicer. So it's a very light anesthesia. So you're going to wake up not feeling drugged and wiped out. I'm also going to inject into your joint when I'm done, when everything's closed up and sealed. I'm going to put in, typically my combination is, another numbing medicine, a very strong anti-inflammatory, and then a narcotic drug in there, and that's all just to put where we need it. And that combination, usually everything kind of hits its stride about 3-4 hours after surgery, and by then your knees or hip is so numb you can't feel it. You can move it, you can walk on it, but you have no pain. And people are so comfortable for that first night after surgery into the next morning. I'm waking people up the next morning, typically, which is nice. Did you have a question? And that makes a big difference, because now, instead of like having people all drugged the day of surgery and hanging out to start therapy, we try to get people up to do therapy within 3 hours of getting out of surgery. Okay? Walking, getting up on it. Why? The number one reason is it is a huge impact on the patient's psyche. They realize that this is going to work, they realize it's going to move, and they commit to doing more therapy and moving around much quicker than they did before. Our average patient stay, so for my partial knees, 50% of them go home that day, 50% of them go the next day. That's probably going to be running out soon. Medicare is quickly moving to making partial knees an outpatient surgery, so they'll all be going home. My hips, 25 to 30% go home the same day, the rest go home the next day. And now my knees, I've not seen any total knee. There are people who do total knees as an outpatient procedure, not in this area, but there are people like in Chicago and stuff who are doing that. Yeah, I'm not there yet. It seems rough. But most of my leave the next day, about 75%, 25% stay the extra night. But it's nice because we're needing less and less therapy. Like I said, with the hips and the partial knees, they almost require no therapy. We're almost at a point where we just say you don't need therapy, just do it on your own. Just keep moving, get up every day, 2-3 times a day. So, sir.
Do you use photogrammetry or that aid of alignment when you're doing these sort of things?
Do I do what?
Photogrammetry.
Photogrammetry.
I know of a friend of mine, they did photogrammetry on his knee.
So there's different ways to put in a knee, okay? So we're talking about how to, this is the trick, the art of a knee replacement. Is, you think like, oh, we just shave off some bits and we glue this on. Well, you tilt it a little this way, you tilt it a little that way, you tilt it a little this way, you tilt it a little that way. How do you get that alignment to put that on there? I actually do the old-fashioned method. I slide a rod up inside your bone to get the alignment of your bone. Again, we're working through a small incision, so I don't know where your bone is. I can't see it, so I put a rod in there to know where that is. People use computer navigation. Okay, so they put markers. They can drill extra holes, unfortunately, but it works pretty good. They put markers in, and then they move your leg around, and they have a camera watching these markers, and they can see how the knee moves, and so it can determine where your hip is, where your knee is, where your ankle is, and determine the alignment that way. There's several different ways you can do that, and now people are coming out with robots, right? They have partial knee replacements that are done robotically. The problem with that is it requires a CT scan preoperatively, which is a spinal chest X-ray. It requires those markers in there, and I've got my bias. Implant reps in the back staring me down right now. So my partial knees, again, my habit space, I don't need a robot telling me to go partial knee. With my total knees, like I said, we do a good job, we don't do a great job, but I don't know that robot's going to do a great job. I want to know that we can move to a great job, and I think we don't know how to put it in perfectly yet, right? All of our knees are different, and we're kind of fitting you to our different shoe sizes instead of, making it fit you. And so I think that's why we're not perfect yet. And we think, well, that'd be great. We'll just design a knee that fits each patient. And there is a company that does that. They get a CT scan and they custom make each knee to the patient. The problem is we're still not lining it up right. So we're still not reproducing their native anatomy. We really need to have your ligaments balanced. We don't even know what the forces in the knee should be. I mean, we don't know. Everybody's so different. I mean, you have people whose knees are tight. You have people whose knees are loose. So we need a way to figure out how to put people back where they started. Then we'd be perfect. The hips, that's a ball in the socket. It's a round joint. It's so much more forgiving. You can be way off and forget it, right? It's true. So that's our treehouse going up there. That's where we're at right now. So we've got, that's right. We've got a 4-year-old It's gonna fall off. My wife busted me as soon as we got the decking up. She's like, I want the rails up now. And I'm like, okay, so we got the railing up. We got a little walkway. That's a little house that's going up there. What you can't see is there's a little trap door in the house that drops the rope ladder out in the middle. You're a kid, you gotta have that. So hopefully we'll get that thing framed up and be done by